Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to me. Last time I filmed a video and published something, I think it was exactly a month ago when the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist was announced. I did a reaction and I, at that point, had already hit prize reading fatigue. Like, it was very real. And I had a lot going on because in the last month or so, have been to 2 different conferences, one in England, one in Scotland, to present papers for my PhD. I've started writing a new chapter, obviously, in my job. There's been a lot going on. So yeah, I've taken a bit of a step back from reading, but I'm actually slowly getting back into it. So it's kind of nice, actually, to feel a bit of a regain of energy and excitement for books, just generally, because I don't think I listened to a lot of audio either. Like, it's just not been, I've been mostly binging K-dramas, but you know, been having fun. So there's that. Despite all of that, I want to say the last time I posted the reviews of the books for the Women's Prize, I think it was about, I want to say early to mid-April. I have read 4 more books since. So I had read 10, so I've read now 14, and I'm actually reading the last 2. So I'm at about halfway through Brotherless Night, and I'm also not quite halfway, and maybe a third of the way through In Defense of the Act. So I'm getting there. My plan is to finish them before the winners announced. I will do a final video. I know there's been a lot of content on the Women's Prize, and I haven't had a lot of time to do other content, so it's been very streamlined. But I will do a final review, like a final thoughts on the long list and what would have made my shortlist, because it's somewhat different from the shortlist that is for the prize. And also another note I wanted to add is that I've also been sitting with the shortlist, you know, over the last month, and the more I've sat with it, the more I'm disappointed by the shortlist, because I thought it was quite a strong long list. Like, I've actually enjoyed reading through all of these, and I'm just a little bit disappointed by some of the choices for the shortlist. And the more I'm like sitting with it, the more I'm like, it does feel like Kate Grenville and Anne Wright are almost there because of their legacy, you know. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, because I think both of their books, while okay, I feel like they feel a bit dated to me. And also, River East, River West. No, we'll get to this as I review 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster, which I just finished a couple days ago. So I'm going to give you a quick review of the 4 books that I've read since then, and let's go in chronological order. So the first one I finished was Restless, Dolly, Maunder by Kate Grenville, and that was still in April. Actually, I had a copy from the library. I brought it down with me to England when we were down there, and I finished it. So I took my time with it. And I thought it was an okay book, but just okay, which is why even now that I've actually read it, I'm very surprised still that it's on the list. My thoughts are, I don't know why I was reading it. I think that clearly Grenville was trying to give us an example of how women were, I guess, trapped in the household in a way, you know, like how they're very defined in terms of what they could do and what they couldn't do, and especially for a woman that obviously grew up in the 1800s and then into the 20th century, and I guess a change of, I guess, rights and traditions and things that were afforded to women, you know, even for her daughter. I thought it was very difficult though, because at the beginning you really feel for her, because she has, in a way, to follow, you know, she has to get married and she's kind of following this traditional role that she doesn't want to do. But then she's like really spiteful of everyone because of that. I don't know how I would have felt back then, but I just feel like this was an unpleasant experience to read, because she was just so disagreeable and so mean to everyone, and so I don't want to say ungrateful, but there was something about her that was like, I guess that's where the Restless comes from. Like, she was never pleased with what she got, even when she did these big things, and there was something about her that just didn't want to stop. I think at the detriment of her family, And she complains about her own family and how they did things that affected her, and yet she seems to have no regard in terms of how things are affecting her children. And, you know, she becomes a bit kind of jealous of her daughter and the opportunities that she gets. And yeah, when I closed it, I was literally like, Restless Dolly Maunder, more like selfish Dolly Maunder. And I just, yeah, didn't really love that. I think a better version of this book, in a way, is Great Circle by the author that I've completely forgot. Maggie Shipstead, that's it. Which was on the shortlist a couple of years ago. And I feel like that was one of books about a woman from sort of that era defying expectation and societal constraints. And I thought that was better done. So yeah, I'm a little bit like, why is this book here? But anyway, let's move on to the next one. It is And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott. This is, I want to say this like part or horror, part like very contemporary novel about motherhood. It includes a lot of different themes. A lot of it is rooted obviously in Indigenous culture in Canada, and also in the, I guess, systemic racism that happens to people of Indigenous background. I thought it was okay. I thought it was good. I really failed to connect with the main character. It's difficult because I think it had very similar themes to Soldier Sailor by Clara Kilroy, which I absolutely loved, and that one made me really feel immersed. But this one really felt a disconnect. And then it would cut and we were having bits of stories because the main character is trying to be a writer, trying to write the stories of creation, which her father used to tell her, which aren't really well written. This intercut, and then there's like a whole, I don't know if it's, when I say it's magical realism, but there's a whole intercut of time play, you know, like going back in time or something like that. I thought this book was too many things, and I'm not sure it worked for me personally. I thought it was trying to do a lot, and I appreciate what it's trying to do, but I think maybe it was too much. And I wish that had been reined in just a little bit, and I think it could have had more of an impact than trying to be so many different things. So these are my general thoughts on that, but a caveat to it is that when I was reading And Then She Fell, and similar for the next book I'm going to talk about, Enter Ghost by Isabella Hammad, I was at my peak tiredness. I was tired at this point. So I was reading these books and I was like, and it felt heavy. So I don't think it helped, but I still think that if I'd read it in a better spirit, I still would have thought it was either too long or too kind of in different directions. Next, let's talk about Enter Ghost by Isabella Hammad, which is also on the shortlist, just like Restless Dolly Maunder. I expected Enter Ghost to be here for many reasons. I think it is a good book. Obviously, I think politically speaking, I think this is a hot topic. So it almost feels like this book has more of an impact because of what's happening. Because I have to say, while I I thought it was a good book, I also feel like when I finished it, I was like, what did I just read? I've forgotten already. I have no connection to this main character. I have decided, because I know I wasn't reading it, or I would listen to it on Zigzag, I feel like maybe I didn't give it the best chance, so I will give it a second chance. Because while I thought it was good, I felt like very disconnected with it. And I don't know if it's because of me or if it's because of the book. So yeah, I will give it a second chance. I will listen to it again. And I hope that I can take more of my time with it and kind of absorb it better. Because there was bits that were so good, and other bits when I was like, I don't know, it felt almost like a bit cold and distant, and I was like, okay, why do I care about this? And things were really slow paced as well. And while I love theatre, and I do love a book about theatre and about art and stuff like that, I'm not a huge Shakespeare fan in the sense of his plays, especially his dramas, like his tragedies. And Hamlet is not my favorite. So there's part of me that also struggled to see some of the parallels, even though sometimes it felt a bit heavy-handed as well. But maybe I needed that, you know, people like me might need that. So yeah, I will listen to this one again. And when I have, hopefully I have kind of different feeling, because I'm feeling a bit better in terms of reading, and I feel also because I'm breathing a bit more, like I'm reading books a bit slower, because I you know, I've read the first 10 like quickly the first month of the prize being announced, so it was maybe a bit much. So yeah, we'll give another chance to Enter Ghost and we shall see. But generally I thought it was good. But next, let's talk about 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster by Mirinae. So I, as you may know, predicted this one, which total surprise that it was actually on this list. It sounded like so interesting, you know, slave, escape artist, murderer, terrorist, spy, lover, mother, trickster. At the Golden Sunset Retirement Home, it is not unusual for residents to invent stories. And this person, the kind of framing device is that this woman works at a retirement center, retirement home, and she decides to write obituaries so that the residents can feel a bit kind of in control of, you know, when they pass and the stories that is going to be told about them. And then she meets this woman, what's her name? Mrs. Mook, and she starts telling her about all of these things that have happened to her. The way this book is, so there's 8 lives, obviously, 8 lives, but they're in different order, which at first you're like, whoa, that's weird. So it starts with the 5th life, and then it goes to the 1st life, and then the 3rd life, and then the 2nd life, and then the 4th life, and then the 6th life, and then 7th and 8th. And I thought that was weird, and I was like trying to piece it together, but also it kept me going. I kept being like, oh, I can't wait to figure it out. I can't wait to see what this actually means. By the end, because she's retelling the story, you're like, wait, is this real? Or is she inventing it? Like, it gave me Big Fish energy, like, hard, because of, you know, how... Oh no, I won't tell you the spoilers. You should go and watch it because it's so good. But it's a bit of a like, wait, at the end you kind of see if it's real or not, or if maybe the stories have been exaggerated a little bit. But yeah, I thought it was well written. I really loved the different perspective, because at some point I guess we get her husband talking, and then we get actually the point of view of the woman who's, you know, writing the obituary, and then we get her point of view. We get like lots of different things, and I loved it, and I thought it was really well weaved all together. And this is why I mentioned River East, River West earlier by Aubrey Lescure, and that's the one that's made the shortlist. And I don't want to say instead of this one or instead of Night Bloom or whatever. To me, this one does a better job at looking at different lives that we can live, which I think goes with belonging, like almost like the adaptive quality we can have to where we are and where we want to be. And also I just thought this was weaved way too better. So yeah, I really like it. I'm happy I bought it, and yeah, it lived up to what I was hoping it was going to be, and I big recommend. So yeah, so these are my 4 reviews up to now. So as you know, I still have, 2, so I'm gonna give you a review of In Defense of the Act when I finished, as well as Butterless Night. So yeah, it's going well. My ranking has changed, but I will not share it now. I will share it when I finish the last 2, because at this point, why not? But I really enjoyed reading this long list, because obviously I'm in the middle of the last 2, so I've started them and actually enjoying both of them. So I think it's been a really strong long list. It felt a little bit like, what is this at the beginning when it was announced? But I personally feel like it was good, and I've discovered lots of interesting books in the process, so it's been really cool. I'll be back hopefully when I finish these, and I'll give you, these 2 reviews and then a final kind of thoughts on the long list / short list. I'll be back soon, hopefully, just before. I'm going on holiday now. When I'm back early June, I will give you a video just before the announcement, and then we can see what happens, and it's very exciting. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of the books I've talked about today, what you've thought about them. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree with me. That'll be always nice to share opinions. As always, thank you so much for watching, and here's you back. Bye.